Juliane Koepcke, a young woman of 17, was on a Christmas Eve flight with her mother. They were headed to Pucallpa, a city in the heart of the Peruvian rainforest. Juliane was excited to spend Christmas with her father, a renowned biologist working deep in the jungle. The flight was supposed to be routine, a quick hop over the vast expanse of the Amazon. But fate, as we know, often has other plans. The plane, a Lanza Lockheed L-188 Electra, hummed along, carrying its passengers through the stormy Christmas Eve sky. Outside, the clouds were gathering, dark and heavy with the threat of rain. Inside, oblivious to the danger lurking above, Juliane and her mother shared a quiet moment. They were looking forward to the family reunion that awaited them in Pucallpa. Little did they know, their journey was about to take a terrifying turn. As the storm raged around them, the plane began to shudder violently, each jolt sending waves of panic through the cabin. Passengers gripped their armrests, fear etched on their faces as the aircraft was tossed about like a leaf in a hurricane. The turbulence was relentless, shaking the plane with a ferocity that seemed almost unnatural. The lights flickered, plunging the cabin into an eerie, intermittent darkness. Each flash of light revealed the terror in the eyes of the passengers, their faces pale and drawn. Then with a deafening roar that ripped through the air, the unimaginable happened. The sound was unlike anything they had ever heard, a cacophony of destruction. Lightning, a bolt of raw energy, struck the plane, tearing it apart in the sky. The flash of light was blinding and the force of the impact was catastrophic. Juliane, still strapped to her seat, was ripped from the disintegrating aircraft. The sensation was surreal, as if time had slowed down in the midst of chaos. She tumbled through the air, the screams of terrified passengers fading into the roar of the wind. The world around her was a blur of motion and sound. Below her, the dense jungle canopy rushed closer at an alarming speed. The green expanse seemed both a potential savior and a deadly threat. She closed her eyes, bracing for the inevitable impact, praying for a miracle. Her thoughts raced, a jumble of fear, hope, and disbelief. This was a moment of pure terror, a free-fall into the unknown. The seconds stretched into an eternity, each heartbeat a reminder of her fragile existence. But amidst the fear, a spark of survival instinct flickered within Juliane. She knew she had to stay conscious, to fight for every breath, every second of life. Juliane regained consciousness to the sound of the jungle. She was lying on the damp forest floor, her body still strapped to her seat, miraculously intact. Disoriented and in pain, she remembered the crash, the terror, and the feeling of falling. She was alive, but she was alone, stranded in the heart of the Amazon. Her injuries, though numerous, were not life-threatening. A broken collarbone, a deep gash on her arm, and a swollen eye were her most immediate concerns. But beyond the physical pain, a deeper fear took root in her heart. She was surrounded by the dense, unforgiving jungle, a green labyrinth teeming with unknown dangers. The thought of her mother, her only companion on that fateful flight, filled her with despair. She called out, her voice hoarse and weak, hoping for a response, but only the echoes of the forest answered her back. Section 4. 10 Days of Courage. Juliane, drawing upon her knowledge of the rainforest instilled by her parents, began her fight for survival. She had always been fascinated by the stories her parents told her about the jungle. But now, those stories were her lifeline. She knew that time was against her. Every second counted, and she had to make the most of her limited resources. The jungle, for all its beauty, was a dangerous place, especially for someone injured and alone. The sounds of wildlife, once enchanting, now seemed threatening. She needed to find her way back to civilization, but first, she needed to survive. The dense foliage made navigation difficult, and every step was a challenge. Her priority was to find water, the elixir of life in this unforgiving environment. Without it, she knew she wouldn't last long. She remembered her father's words, "Follow the water, and you'll find life." This simple advice became her guiding principle. Guided by this advice, she limped along a small stream, her torn dress and the flimsy sandals offering little protection against the harshness of the jungle floor. Each step was painful, but she couldn't afford to stop. Insects swarmed around her, drawn by her sweat and blood. They were relentless, adding to her misery. The humid air hung heavy, making each breath a struggle. The oppressive heat sapped her energy, but she had to keep moving. But Juliane pressed on, fueled by a will to survive that belied her tender years. Her determination was unwavering, and she knew that giving up was not an option. Each day brought new challenges, but also new hope. Section 5. The long walk to safety. Days turned into nights. Juliane battled hunger, fatigue, and the constant fear of being alone in the wilderness. She scavenged for food, relying on the survival skills she had learned from her parents. She ate what little she recognized as edible berries and fruits, all the while wary of poisonous plants. As the days passed, Juliane's hopes dwindled. The dense jungle seemed to stretch endlessly around her. Just when her resolve began to waver, she stumbled upon a small hut. It was a sign of human presence, a beacon of hope in her desperate situation. She had found her way to a small group of local fishermen. They were her salvation. Section 6. Rescue and Recovery. The fishermen, shocked by the sight of this young woman who had emerged from the depths of the jungle, welcomed her with open arms. They could hardly believe their eyes, as she appeared like a ghost from the dense foliage, her clothes tattered and her body covered in cuts and bruises. They gave her food, water, and tended to her wounds as best they could. The villagers, with their limited resources, did everything in their power to make her comfortable. They cleaned her injuries, offered her warm blankets, and provided a safe place for her to rest. They then helped her get to the nearest town, from where she could contact the authorities. The journey was arduous, but the villagers were determined to see her to safety. They walked for hours through the thick jungle, supporting her every step of the way. The news of Juliane's survival spread like wildfire. Newspapers around the world picked up the story, and people were amazed by her incredible tale of endurance and resilience. What seemed like an impossible feat, surviving 10 days alone in the Amazon after a plane crash, captured the imagination of the world. The dense, unforgiving jungle with its myriad dangers had not claimed her life. She became a symbol of hope, her story a testament to the tenacity of the human spirit. People drew inspiration from her courage and determination, seeing in her a beacon of light in the darkest of times. Reunited with her father, Juliane slowly began to heal from her physical and emotional wounds. The bond between them grew even stronger as they shared the pain of loss and the joy of her miraculous survival. The memory of the crash, the terrifying fall, and the days spent alone in the jungle would forever be etched in her mind. The harrowing experience had left an indelible mark on her soul, yet she emerged from her ordeal stronger, her spirit unbroken. Juliane's story is a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the incredible strength we can find within ourselves in the face of unimaginable adversity. Section 7. A life dedicated to nature. Juliane's experience in the Amazon left an indelible mark on her life. Instead of shying away from the wilderness, she embraced it. She went on to become a successful biologist, dedicating her life to the study and conservation of the rainforest that had once been her prison. She returned to the Amazon, not with fear, but with a deep respect and love for its untamed beauty. Juliane's story serves as a beacon of hope, reminding us that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can overcome unimaginable odds. She's a true survivor, a testament to the power of courage, resilience, and the will to live.